Help support this channel and get early access to videos plus exclusive content and patrons-only live discussions by becoming a member at patreon.com/Bruce Poinsette. This is the Bruce Poinsette Show, the world's most dangerous infomercial. I've got a full studio today with some special guests, but we just want to talk about an event that's coming up at the Hollywood Theater on September 1st, Black Friday. It's going to feature two films, if I'm correct, two films, a panel on Black business, and it's just a really intriguing way to engage with promoting Black business, talking about Black business, celebrating Black community in Portland. So I've got some people from the project here today. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, starting with Devin to my right, or to my left.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Devin Boss, native Portlander, filmmaker and owner of Northeast Production, also one of the producers, executive producers of the event Black Friday. Yeah.
And hello, my name is Kobe Lewis, also native Portlander. Not many of us here. I'm the CEO and executive director of an organization called Micro Enterprise Services of Oregon, and we're a small business assistance organization and a microlender.
My name is Marquita Hadamia. I don't even know where I'm looking at the moment, but I'm the principal over at the DFM Fund. We are a seed stage fund for Black entrepreneurs in the Portland area and beyond. So we are always looking to support and connect people, I'm so sorry. We're always looking to connect entrepreneurs of color with the resources that they need. Part of the ways that we do that is through the Emerge program, which is something that I've been managing the last 6 months. So it puts folks in touch with early stage capital, but also the people power that they need to kind of get the information and make decisions and move their business along.
I'm Cyrus Coleman, one half of the Creative Homies.
I'm about to one half of the Creative Homies.
We own a building in Chinatown, an old town, Chinatown, called the Horizon Enterprise Building. And we are in early stages of funding, so we just made some new best friends.
How you guys doing?
But we have a big project that we're excited to bring to life in that space. And Devin was so kind enough to come and explore it with us, and we got to dive in deep, so we're excited for everybody to see that film.
Likewise.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you all here today. So, just first, can we just talk about how did this all come together? It's pretty, it's a pretty elaborate event.
Yeah, I think initially the inspiration came from wanting, seeing a lot of films that didn't have Black faces behind them, just in front of them, and just wishing for more agency over narrative. And kind of feeling a need within myself and in my community for more resources, for more mentorship, for more access to people like Kobe and Marquita and Zoe Piliafis and these kind of people that can kind of help alleviate people on those growing pains of trying to establish and grow and sustain a business, and trying to give more people access to the toolage needed to sustain all of those things. And I think me being a filmer, I think it's one of the most powerful tools that we can have in order to affect change. And so that was kind of like the root of how this all started. And then Zoe Piliafis kind of getting involved with it and being the visionary that she is, kind of helped propel this into the event that it is. And then it all takes a village. So now we've kind of come to this point that we're at now with an entire village of people kind of spearheading a singular vision.
Yeah, and shout out to Zoe off camera. We're gonna not do anything with that, but yeah, it does takes a village. So yeah, can y'all just talk a little bit more about not just the event itself, but why doing something like this? As far as we're gonna talk a little bit more about some of the challenges Black businesses face as far as just getting the word out, but specifically having it be a combination of not just film screenings, but also having a panel, having it at the Hollywood Theater. Why was it important to have this package around it?
First, it being in a space like Hollywood Theater was important to me because it keeps the event in Northeast Portland, where I grew up, and it's an idea of recreating community and giving people an excuse to come together, band together, and to kind of create space to have these kind of important conversations. And so it's starting off with story that inspires and celebrates, but moving into something more hearty and that people can apply almost immediately into their endeavors was important, and bringing in like the testimony and the expertise of these great people was important for me, because I'm not a specialist in this, and like I said, it takes a village, but it's super important for us to have an idea of, like, you know, there's always that element of you don't know what you don't know, and I remember talking to Cyrus and Wale about that on the rooftop, about just like having access to people that can point you in the right direction, a direction that you didn't even know maybe had existed before you met that person. And so just giving people greater accessibility to those powerful voices.
Yeah. And the Scanner recently did a great write-up on the event called Black Friday Event Celebrates Love Stories in Black Business. Shout out to Sandra Sorensen.
Yeah.
But Stephen Green, who's also going to be participating in the panel, talks about how there, according to the census, were 5,000 black businesses in Portland as of 2019. But it's just like, again, people don't realize the variety and like what's really out there. So could you all just talk about kind of like some of the challenges that are at play when in terms of, again, just getting the word out about black businesses in Portland?
I mean, what I could speak to is just kind of the dissemination and us trying to recreate kind of the black economy. They talk a lot about gentrification, but I mean, that's happened, it's done. So at one point in time, there was black businesses were concentrated in Portland. So it was very visible. You saw them. They were next door. They were your neighbors. You could walk to them. And now, we're spread out. And there's no longer concentration, which is why people don't think there are as many black businesses here as there are. But we also have an abundance of black professional services. We've got accountants, we've got attorneys, we've got lawyers, people you won't see with the storefront. We've got people making things. We've got product to market. We have, food trucks. We've got restaurants. We have caterers. So it's just not as visible as it once was. But we are definitely out here in the numbers. We are in abundance for black business, and they're thriving. It's just a matter of making awareness, getting the word out, and us utilizing our own people's businesses. But, if you don't know about them, then it's really harder to find. So that's kind of what our goal is, and having these conversations on the panel and doing this activity, and our organization itself is just trying to get out there, like, where are they? What are they doing, and how do we utilize their services? Yeah.
Just kind of tacking on what Kobe was saying, there definitely is an abundance of black businesses. I work really hard to connect with specifically black and brown professional service providers, because those are the people that are going to generally make a better connection with the founders that I work with and get them the answers that they need, or at least be able to meet them where they are better to help them get to the solutions that they need. Having more opportunities like this, utilizing folks like Creative Homies and spaces that can kind of highlight innovation in different ways are great ways to help spread the word. And creating collaborations instead of trying to compete with some of the larger folks. Maybe if some of the larger folks might be interested in collaborating with some of the smaller businesses, that could help kind of bring more awareness to some of the smaller businesses that exist. There's a plethora of things that people can do. I think if they just take the time to actually sit and talk to one another and kind of figure out where each other are, there could be some solution that is immediate but also long-term that they can work out that could create more awareness around black-owned businesses.
I think part of the solution Cyrus and I are trying to really solve in the community is how do we keep creative energies in Portland, and how do we basically bring more business into the creative space. But also there's an idea that you can't really find black people in Portland, but how do we give black people that space to show up at a place where they can all be seen, like an entire ecosystem where you can start your business on the second floor, go photograph it or film it on the third floor, and then bring it back to the studio downstairs in the gallery space, and basically create an entire ecosystem for us. Because one thing I do know is if you look closely, you will find someone that looks like you, and if you intentionally go searching for it, you will find us. We're everywhere. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're doing that I'm really excited about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, our whole thing spawned from that desire to find that community. Us being creatives, we export our talents a lot. Obviously I work at Nike. Wally does amazing work for a variety of brands, but there's that piece of us that wants to kind of explore our own internal creative compass, and in searching for just studio space, it's that whole initial urge snowballed into us not being able to find the studio space, finding people that put us in a place to then create that studio space. So it's like a need that we felt we would benefit from, but was something that's so much larger than just being our thing. Like we wanted to be able to like provide that for all those other creatives that are in this town, specifically Black and brown folks, right? And we don't have that access in those points of contact just set up where it's like, oh yeah, just go over there to the spot. That's where everybody kicks it and hangs out and does all these things, because we get so dispersed. So that's kind of been the that same need that we've kind of been looking forward to getting off the ground too, to kind of alleviate some of those factors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you're talking about as far as collaboration, I think is really powerful, both in the process of making this, but then also just like modeling it with this event, with all these different parties involved, with these different interests. And even to the point, I asked about like promoting Black business before, but I also have to imagine, especially through like Black Founders Matters Fund, through MISO, like just being able for businesses, I mean, I'm an independent contractor for myself, knowing about these resources is huge. And I have to imagine this is also, yeah, just a good platform for getting that word out to people.
It absolutely is. I mean, one of the things that we know about brown people is word of mouth is how we spread it. If someone had a great experience, they're going to tell somebody else, they're going to utilize the service. They had a bad experience, they're also going to tell somebody else, and maybe not.
Right.
But we, as organizations, you might not see us out there because we haven't really advertised, because people just, hopefully we've had more good experiences than bad, and people have told someone who's told somebody, and that's how we get people in the door. But at some point, once we know who else, we just really had a chance to chat here for a second, and I'm already thinking of ways that we can collaborate. It's just a matter of getting in the spaces with other people and actually having the opportunity just to chat, even for a minute. I mean, we're talking about like we potentially could work together, and we have something that they might need. But until you can see somebody and meet somebody, in a space, that's sometimes all it takes. You might see a advertisement or hear something on social, but it doesn't really click to you what they are, what they're doing, who they are, and who they've helped, until you can have that conversation. So it'll be nice, especially a lot of us being from Portland, to see some of our native kind of Portland leaders, to get kind of that sense of community again, have a place that they talked about. We used to have places where we can go to see everybody and to connect. And since we don't have that, this is a really good step in recreating some space for us. And hopefully not the last time that you'll do something like this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I kind of want to come back to the films themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 2 features. Can you just talk a little bit about these 2 films?
Yeah. The first film is actually kind of a visual love letter from Paul Knowles to his late wife Geneva. The words were penned excellently by Donovan Scribes. We had a small interview, actually quite an extensive interview with Paul Knowles in his home, where he kind of just took us through his life of love and business with Geneva. It was just amazing to be able to step into that world with him, and I felt really honored that he would trust me and Donovan with such valuable information. Sometimes, like people can be really sensitive about stuff like that, but Paul is just such a welcoming figure. So with that information, Donovan went and kind of penned this eloquent love letter, and I went to work kind of trying to put visuals to that could accurately kind of communicate what was being told. So we visited different spaces that they went on, like some of their first dates, some of their favorite places together, and it's just one of those films that I hope honored what they truly had in some way. I never knew Geneva; I was too young, so. It was very impactful for me to be able to, I spent probably 4 or 5 days collectively, just with him in his house, like sitting crisscross applesauce, like in his room, just going through like just an abundance of just like beautifully just like organized photo books. Like it was immaculate, and in those in those pages, it just told this crazy story. Like he's lived like 5 people's worth of life, like they've skied like on every mountain in the country, with thousands of Black people in a time where it was damn near illegal to be Black, it's like, so I mean, he's just like, just a hell of a person. So I'm very honored to have done that, and I can't wait for him to see it. And then the second one is a film that features Portland Trailblazers DJ OG1, and kind of goes through the story of his beginnings in, Watts, California, kind of gang adjacent, and transitioning to Portland and finding community out of a need, and then paying it forward like immediately, you know what I'm saying? And I think that that's like the heart and soul of all of this, is like the power of community, of relationships, of all of that. It's I always lean into this idea, like you can either be a single thread, or you can create a braid, and like this kind of feels like us trying to tell a narrative of the importance of the braid. But OG takes us through his Portland, and we kind of explore Alberta as it is and as it was. We visit Black United Fund. They give us a lot of very important kind of historical context, and give us some sneak peeks into kind of what they have planned. And then we visit the Creative Homies and their space that I'm so tremendously excited about. This ambitious endeavor that really speaks to who I am as a human and as a creative, and it's something that I've yearned for. And we were all able to connect and have a very meaningful conversation about all the things that we're talking about right now. And it really felt throughout the entire conversation that there weren't cameras on, which is what I enjoyed about it the most. And I'm hoping that not just me, but this inspires other people to continue to put these conversations out and to broadcast them to the greater Black community.
Yeah, I really resonate with those stories of Black placemaking in Oregon.
Yeah.
And because honestly, I still run into people all the time who, I don't know how else to put this, will just kind of be like, why do these Black stories matter? What's even some of our people, it can be kind of disconcerting at times. But then you talk about something like, it's just like their skiing prowess and something like that, where there's just all throughout the state, not just Portland. I mean, I'll go out to like Pendleton or like Medford, and you see people, in spite of everything here, in spite of being, that legacy of exclusion laws, that residue of exclusion laws, still building for themselves, building for their communities all throughout the state. So yeah, anytime just being able to broadcast that, have people engage with that, I think is just very, very important. Yeah. But I want to turn it back to Creative Homies and downtown, because there's obviously like a lot of talk about the state of Portland, what's happening, and what are we going to do to fix downtown and all that, or fix Old Town. And I look at some of the people who, again, have just like made place there, and are doing things that are just just like reinvigorating, taking advantage of the space. But in particular, you have the Horizon Enterprise Building project, and I was just reading a little bit about it in lead up to this story. But can you just talk a little bit more about that? I know you guys wanted Pitch Black for that, so yeah.
I think we all know, like, Chinatown is epicenter of creativity and for diversity. And I think that's one of the places that makes it even more attractive for Cyrus and I to really like put our roots down. We've pitched this idea to numerous of people as we kind of go, and people are always like, oof, Chinatown, it's going through a rough thing. But if everyone keeps turning their back on a community like that, then what are we doing? Cyrus and I's job is to be extremely good at what we do, but also be really great to that community and enjoy that community, but also understanding that, it's different, what I'm trying to say, it's different, and it's getting out of my head, dichotomy in like, Chinatown and then Black people, we're not coming in to gentrify that space, we're coming in to actually bring more visual to that community and bring more love to that community and bring more art to it. But also, if you build it, they will come. And I think one of the biggest things is we have an amazing community and supporters who are just going to come and show love no matter what.
Yeah, and I feel like some of that bad press, bad rap stuff kind of is all gloom and doom, but it's all about what you put out into the world, right? So like, if you create a space that people want to be at, that will be the solution. Instead of avoiding it and creating a void, then the problem will just fester, right? So we're just trying to create that space to provide something for people to enjoy, to be a part of, to take place in. And I think the beauty of Portland's community, like from all aspects, has been like the collaborative like energy. Like I don't think we would be able to have done this in any other type of city. Like even where we're from, like I'm from Austin, Texas. I can't imagine like buying a building in Texas, like, or even having the access or like the infrastructure and support from people that are in places to help us do that, which we've done, like, which is crazy. We bought a building. So like the other half is like getting the support to create the vision and execute the vision instead of the traditional means of just like being a landlord and like, okay, who's gonna like sit in my building and pay me rent every month? Like we're not trying to do that. We're trying to like create an environment and an experience and like elevate and curate and make it larger than life and not feel like we're cutting corners and half-assing it. Because all the time, like, you know, you go to that thing or like that black event or whatever, and like there's like sometimes a feeling of like, man, this is a little bootleg a little bit, but I'm here, I'm support, I love everybody. But it's like, why can't we have the nice things too? You know, like you see all these spaces that are just like to the nines, and it's like, how'd you get this space? Oh, well, I know, blah, blah, blah. And like, just went to the bank and got a loan, and it happened.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in that, like, that we're like real time right now, like having meetings like every other week, trying to figure out how to secure these loans. And we've gone through all the hoops. Like we could get really real right now and just talk about that hardship, but we also like, you have to take part in it. Like that's the system that we're in. So like you have to kind of play that game a little bit and toe that line so that you can actually create the change that you want to see. Because you can't do it without the means that are not in place. Like it just doesn't exist. So that's kind of where we're at. And part of the beauty of like this space and the collaborative efforts that we have had, like once we do knock that door down, it'll be easier to open for the next person. So we'll be able to provide that knowledge and like be those connectors and connect others with other visions that they might not have seen possible. Because we were just looking for a studio space, you know, and like so it's that thing where like you don't know what's possible until you meet those people, right? And so I think Portland has been great for that. Like there's a lot of great people that have helped us get to where we're at now and are still helping us to get to where we're going. So
one of the biggest things also, like, you know, as Cyrus was saying, is opening a place where black folks and BIPOC people can come in, and it's like, whoa, this is beautiful, this is amazing, how can we be part of this? But also talking about like creativity, you know, we want to have kids from my school come in, like even show work and kind of foster that entire community. Because, you know, I didn't grow up with people who were like, oh, art, you can make money from art, or you can do this with art. I just grew up from a family, like, go be a pilot, that's what you should do. But what if we can foster those young minds in those buildings and tell them this is what you're capable of doing, keep going. And we can bring that community and make it proud and make it even the center of Portland again, or make it even a part of it, because there's multiple businesses coming in now, all these giant, but they're not owned by black folks. But this is an entire building that is owned by black folks, that all the businesses that are going to be run into the business, it's going to be owned by black folks. And it's for you, for us, for all of us all, really. So, yeah. And also, you're going to come to Chinatown. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be great.
It's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, it's just so important. Like having these spaces that engage people, that bring people in to the community, again, that kind of like goes against all the rhetoric we were talking about earlier. It's like everyone's leaving. No one wants to come down here. When people put on events that people want to come to, they do. You know.
I mean, the Chinatown Meet that our dear friend Pierre throws, it's been great. People show up. If you give people reason to show up and tell them like, this is our event, this is for you, come. Black community supports each other no matter what. Everyone pulls up. Everyone shows a good time, and everyone is there to see each other and to embrace each other. And you see it quite often when we all get together, we all hug each other, because that's just the nature of things. There's always love there. And that community bleeds it and needs it, and it's like just shouting for it. And so we're here to put that love into that community too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just going through it on the page here. You got the third floor, you got a theory studio, second floor theory makerspace, contrast gallery on the first floor, a jazz bar on the basement. Like,
I mean, what's more soulful? And do you want to go into?
I mean,
your-
I guess
go for it.
for people who are listening or watching who may not know like what's in the building, it's a 20,000 square foot building. It's 4 stories, including a basement. We have an entire ecosystem that will like be in service to one another in each floor of the building. So from the top, we have the studio space, which is a place to kind of showcase your work in environment like this where you want to record or like film or shoot whatever promo. And we'll have a 1-bedroom apartment that'll serve for like a residencies for artists who come through the space in any form or fashion of like creative outlets, right? So like photographers will have makers in the second floor. So we'll have a maker space. Think of it as like a gym for creatives. So like a membership to a gym. You go and you work out, and here you can come, you can work out, you can just hang, you can create on your laptop or whatever you want to do, but there's also equipment that we'll provide that you might not have if you're trying to like make that next jump. So we're trying to provide that space to just enjoy different types of creatives, energy, but also like if you want to hone in on something and focus and have the space and the means to like elevate it, we're providing that. But then on the first floor, that's where we'll have a gallery space. So if you're in the maker space, you could be working on a show or a joint show or whatever that could be showed in that space. And we'll have a cafe adjacent to it, complementary to it. And there'll be a retail component where some of that stuff that you're making could potentially be sold in that space also in support of whatever the show is. And we'll have coffee by day and wine by night to supplement the basement jazz bar. So my dad was B.B. King's drummer for about 30 years. He actually lives in Oregon as well. And my grandpa was also a musician and helped James Brown invent the mashed potato dance. And like he's like on the Hall of Fame at the Apollo Theater in Harlem. So music has always been a big part of my family and my upbringing, and like just being able to kind of storytell like multi-generationally and like bring the youth and the old heads together, you know, and like create a new energy that's a little bit more classy, you know, but not necessarily like can't turn up. So we're providing a cool night experience as well. So like it's full hours of the day and it's full like expressions of creativity that can all kind of work together in this ecosystem. And you might just go for the bar. You might just go hang out in the gallery and like work on something. Or you might have a craft that you want to hone in and work on with other like-minded individuals. Or you might need a space to show what you do. So we're just trying to think of all those things and all the people that will be in the space to kind of have a place to just be and like enjoy other people's creativity and energy. So that's kind of like the elevator pitch, if you will, I guess.
And as time goes on, maybe, you know, the back of our lot could be basically a farmer's market for black folks, places for, you know, they have the PSU market on a Saturday. Maybe we have Sunday where we just have black people's farmer's market where black folks can come shop for things and do those stuff. So as things goes, we open that entire community up into people. It is for you. So we hope when it does open, you guys do come and celebrate it, because it's not only us, it's for everyone. So yeah.
And that's the beauty, like also, like we don't answer to anybody.
Yeah.
We own the building.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever we want to do is on the table. So it's like a blank canvas, and we want feedback. We want to know like, oh, maybe this could be improved. Maybe this, have you thought of this? Like we want to have that engagement instead of just like plopping random businesses in there or tenants who may or may not work well together. You know, you never know.
And
But
one of the cool things we also did is we didn't want people to donate. I mean, it's great if you did donate it, but we wanted you to own part of it. So we did a RegCF investment platform where you can actually invest in owning a piece of the business. So when you do come, you know you're just basically buying things that you've actually invested in, and you're supporting businesses that you know that you love. And that's something that was so big to Cyrus and I. We didn't want to go to GoFundMe or anything like that. We wanted people to really, really take investment seriously, because generational wealth at the end of it is what we're really all chasing after, really. Something to leave for our kids' kids, and something to grow from. It's so heavily important in a community like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to bring that back to the Black Business Panel, because capital's been mentioned, and access to capital has been mentioned a couple of times in this interview. And, you know, we've also talked, you alluded to kind of like the history of gentrification in Portland, and how basically like areas were just blighted, neglected, and the people who could afford to buy space in there would basically kind of do the whole like disaster capitalism thing. And it hasn't served the Black community. It hasn't been mostly the Black community profiting off of that. But when we come to, just getting back to like access to capital, ultimately these things do cost money. It does cost money to do, like I said, like do this to the nines, do this up to the presentation that really engages people. So yeah, you just want to just kind of like talk a little bit about, we don't have to get like super deep into the weeds of access to capital, because I understand how that could go. But like for people who are just watching, like, this sounds like business jargon. What, like when you say that, like, what do you mean? What are some of the obstacles?
I think for me, the main obstacle I see people running into with access to capital is access to the right people and the right information. So like a lot of times they're trying to come to the table and ask for capital before they're even ready. They're not necessarily knowing how they're going to use that capital to grow their business. They haven't necessarily done like the data research. And so like when I think of access to capital, I like to try and prepare people for creating like a sound plan of what they're going to do with that capital before they're going out to seek it. It might not even be a loan they're looking for. They might be looking for, you know, SBIR grant funding or something. Venture capital might not even be the play. It might be something that's attainable through their own means. They just haven't thought through all the ways that they could do it. So when I think of access to capital, I just think of access in general. As a person that didn't have a lot of access to just even get the information I needed to make informed decisions in regards to capital, I think having the right information will help you not make a lot of mistakes when you do get the capital. So I just spend a lot of time on trying to educate folks on, or at least learning why they need the capital before they need it, and then whatever that capital is that they're going after, making sure that they fully understand the terms, the players, whoever they're getting connected with, so that it's a smart money decision for their business.
Yeah. And
I was going to say I fully agree. Our capital's a bit different. We have different streams of capital, not necessarily investment, but we have small loans at $100 that'll help people build credit, which sometimes is an issue, all the way up to $500K. And it just really depends on who the person is. But she's right about the information. What do you actually need? When do you actually need it? How will you use it? How will you repay it? Because we don't want to put our community specifically in more harm than good, and sometimes access to, not all money is good money. And, just really making sure people have the information to make an informed decision that's going to really benefit them and their business long term.
Yeah, I really resonate with that, as far as I've been through different business, mostly through marketing kind of support programs, but yeah, trying to figure out what actually works for what I'm trying to do versus what are the kind of the 5 things that someone basically just tells everyone. Again, just think about it from a marketing standpoint. I remember when TikTok was first starting off, and every digital marketing program was you got to get a TikTok. It's does that work for the business I'm trying to do? It can, don't get me wrong. I don't want to.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But with the panel, so Marquita, you'll be joined by Stephen Green, who we mentioned earlier, Paige Hendricks Buckner, CEO of All Raise. And can you just talk a little bit more about what people can expect, especially Black business professionals who are going to be, looking on, trying to learn some new things? What can people expect to get out of the business panel specifically?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I know I like to just kind of, based on whatever questions we're going to be asked, I like to share experiences that I've had or firsthand support that I've done for folks and seeing, sharing tips on how to either create meaningful relationships that can help you unlock access to capital, building a meaningful network just to be able to have access to the right information at the right time. Another thing that I like to inform people about is, not every check is a good check. It's okay to say no and keep it pushing. One of the realest things I ever heard a founder say was, if I can't have a drink with the people I have on my cap table, I don't want a check from them. And I don't think that I agree that you shouldn't do business with everybody. You should be extremely, you should have a lot of discernment in terms of like who you choose to take on, whether it's work-wise, collaboratively, or cash-wise to have into your business.
And I know our goal for the panel also is that we have a range of interests and expertise. So we have people who've been bankers, we have people who've been investors, we have people who've been founders, we have a range of just, even time in the business, people who own their own businesses. So hopefully with the questions that we have, which are secret up until that night, I'm hosting, but I get to, kind of probe a little bit and ask, but we're hoping that we can draw out from the panel that we have, successes and pitfalls, experience, because oftentimes that's the best way you learn. And then I'm not sure if we're going to open. I think we are opening up for a few questions from what I was told. So, and this is not the only time that you can reach out to these folks to ask a question either. Hopefully we can start the conversation, open ourselves up, because I would love to help y'all. However I can help. I think what you guys are doing is so cool. But hopefully it'll spur people to know where to go. At least this is another group of people who have some information that I might need. This is how I can find them if I want to further my own journey. So, if that's what this is about, that's great. And hopefully we'll just, interest the group with what the panel has to say. But it seems like it should be interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think the show purports to be anything that's going to, like, I'm not here, we're going to solve your problems. But I think it's about giving you a greater means to access these people. These are the people, like, we need to create more points, more touch points. And so the more people that the greater your community, the more powerful you are. But no man is an island, and so like or woman is an island, and so just having a community that can kind of be that buoy and allow you to kind of establish more buoyancy in your pursuits. I think like that's the end goal, is for you to leave out of there feeling a little bit stronger than when you came in.
I'll add, for business owners looking to spread the word on their business, show up, pull up, have your business cards with 300 to 400 people expected. Like, you got a lot of opportunity to spread the word about your business, to make some connections, to talk to some people, to get information, and maybe even access capital yourself.
True.
Absolutely. So yeah, to that end, I want to turn it over to any last words you all might have about the program, but then also just want you all to, again, plug your respective platforms so people know where they can find you, how they can get in touch, and keep building from this.
I would just say that I deeply hope that, I think I've said this already, and I deeply hope that this is one of many new things that pop up in our city, and that we continue to inspire other people to seek out that which they don't have. I think that's all I was ever trying to do, is just to create, just like Cyrus was talking about, like when they initially were just trying to get a space, and then they realized that there was a greater need and that this was actually bigger than them. And so like I just hope that we all can see that, like, if you can pull yourself out of yourself and see it from bird's eye view, that this is all bigger than all of us. It is all of us. And so I'm hoping that this can be something that's annual, and I hope that we have these all over the place, not just film-centered ones, not just this. I hope more people do stuff like this, and I hope people show up and are dedicated to like trying to continue to connect and build greater community.
I think what I would say is just take advantage, if you're going to come, of who's in the room. Like she said, bring your card, meet somebody, shake some hands. If it's not the person you're talking to, ask them who the right person is, because I guarantee we're going to know who that other person is. Allow us to help you network. And again, if you need, based on what we do, if you are a business looking to just grow or understand how to start, I work for an organization called MISO. It's misopdx.org. and we're also a lender. So we provide loan capital. And so if that's something that you need, fantastic. If not, and if it's not us, we can point you in the right direction. But come ready to shake some hands and meet some people. It should be, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a fun night. I've heard some great things. It's just some murmurs. So it's out there. Yeah.
And Marquita Hadamio, you can find me at bfm.fund. You can learn more about the fund there, but also about the initiatives that we run. We run a series of initiatives, one of those being the BIPOC Leaders Lunch. That's run a few times a year. It's an opportunity for founders of color and funders to get together and just connect. Please hit me up, Marquita at bfm.fund. If you ever want to connect for coffee, tea, lunch, I'm here.
I'm Cyrus Coleman. Should we get business cards?
We are
We
giving
are
them,
the
we do
cre-
have them now. We're
We are
giving
the
them out.
creative homies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the best way to see us is on Instagram. We're not the best at social media yet. We've still got a lot of things on our plate, but it's in the works. So creativehomies_studio is our Instagram handle, but our emails, Cyrus@creativehomies.com and Wale at the same address. But yeah, I mean, we're really excited to see what the whole event's going to be. Like, we're a part of it, but we're also like outside looking in a little bit too. Like, there's a whole film that we haven't seen and we'll be seeing for the first time too. But obviously we were in the conversation, but really excited to see how everyone else comes to life too through their projects and meet all of y'all who may come. Because obviously, like, we're still building and we still need support also. So there might be other connections that could come about in our space that we could collaborate on, whether it's before or after we open. So like, you never know. So I'm really looking forward to making those connections and meeting and hearing what other people are up to also.
What he just said.
And also you can find my films at northeastprod, that's prod.com. Don't know if I said that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you all again. I forgot to mention this earlier because, Kobe, we're just meeting for the first time today, but once upon a time, Mizo actually helped me fix my credit. So, you know,
There we go.
just for a very tangible plug.
Also, Kobe, I don't know if you remember, but I was outside of your building randomly filming. I was doing like a small like film for Black History Month, and you came outside, I believe. You were like, "What are you doing?" And then you like brought me inside, and like we talked for a second. And that was like my first introduction to Mizo.
Well, all right.
Yeah.
And what did I do for you? No, I'm kidding. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I would love to, because it's just so cool just to be around people doing really great stuff, you know, and if we can be involved, if we can help, I mean, that's the goal. That's how we rebuild our community. So I'm glad.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you all again. The event is Black Friday. It'll be September 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Hollywood Theater. If you want to get tickets, you can go to hollywoodtheater.org/events/Black Friday. Hope to see you there.